Hey everyone, I hope everyone is doing awesome. We're having our July community call. Excited to have everyone here. And if you're just joining us, say hello in the chat because we are live on Discord and YouTube. But if you missed the live call, you can always rewatch it. Either I meant to say Twitch or YouTube. But let us know where you are from, where you're joining us from, how's the weather. And today we're going to talk about what's been happening, some of the cool things from the past release. We're going to talk about schema type generations. We're going to talk about Discord migration feedback. Was a really good Discord chat we had where we talked about, what were some of the pain points, the process of people were going through when doing migrations. We're also going to have Sasha joining us talking about community org in a little bit. We're going to talk about roadmap updates, what is coming, and we're also going to do some community showcases. We have an amazing plugin that will allow you to Dockerize Strapi, which is awesome. It literally does all that heavy lifting for you. And then we'll also show you an awesome plugin by Localization, which allows you to translate your articles to be able to be viewed in different locales, which is pretty awesome. And hey, Mateus saying hello. And so what's been happening? So cool news, Strapi raised 31 million Series B, and that's amazing because we striving to continue to build the best Strapi CMS for developers, and we're really excited to continue to do all the work. And thank you to everybody in the community because without you, this would not be possible. So it's really, really exciting that we hit this milestone, and we're looking to hit our next. And before we continue, just previous releases, we were really excited. We have TypeScript beta, schema type generation, and media folders. We have done a little demo in our last community call, so if you missed it, you could check it out. But I can't wait till the next release when it's going to be the final release for TypeScript. I know everybody's excited for TypeScript, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be really amazing. And the one feature that I did want to showcase really briefly is to talk about the schema type generation. I think it's pretty awesome. We now have a CLI command that will automatically generate the schema based on your application schemas, which is really awesome. And it will help you to improve your developer experience and will give you schema typing everywhere in your application, which is awesome. And so it's really, really easy to use, very easy setup. So I'm going to do a quick demo to showcase it. And let me just see in the chat, we have Derek here, Simon's here, Mateus here. Awesome to have everybody. Prani's here. Great to have everybody. DK, yeah, let's see. Nice. We have everybody here, and so let's do a quick demo to take a look at type generation. So let me switch my screens here. So I already have a simple project running here. And if you could see here, it's TypeScript Strapi project. You could tell by the, TS X or TS extensions. And what we're going to do is we're going to generate our schema TS file with this amazing command. And it's super, super simple. So let me come back to my terminal here. And you literally would write yarn strapi content types generate types. And it's super awesome. And so if I run this command, look, it's already done. Pretty awesome. And I don't know if you noticed before, we did not have this schema .d.ts file. And so now all of this has been generated for us by that amazing plugin. So it's pretty cool because now you have typing throughout your whole application, and it's going to make it super awesome and super easy whenever you're building your application. So I wanted to quickly show this to you because it's a cool feature that maybe some of you have not been aware of, and now we know. Pretty awesome. And looking at the comments, cool. Nice, awesome. So we're gonna continue going here. And so next, we had a great Discord migration feedback discussion. And something that we really did really quickly is we wanted to make sure that we get Strappy 4 out there, and we wanted to do it on time. And because we were so busy making sure that we got the release out on time, it was very important for us. We did not release the migration V3 to V4 documentation when we wanted to. And we also didn't talk about some of the changes that we made in V3 and V4 that kind of had some questions from the community, like why did we do that? And that created some friction when migrating. So after talking to everybody on the Discord channel, here's some of the things that we kind of talked about. We need more visibility around changes from V3 to V4 and why. For instance, like why did we change the way our response object is structured? What was the reasoning? And we did make a mistake because we should have been more open on where we're going, where we're heading, and why we're making certain changes. And for some of you who might not be aware of, Strappy 3 to Strappy 4 was a pretty big rewrite. And so a lot of people are wondering, are we going to have the same difficulty going from Strappy version 4 to version 5? And no, we will not, because we pretty much did all the necessary foundation in V4 that all the subsequent updates would be fairly easy. So if I had to give you an example, if you think of Angular 1 to Angular 2, what a big rewrite that was, that's kind of similar to what we did. We really rewrote most of Strappy 4 from ground up, and that's why we have these massive changes, and that's why we have some friction around migration. Another thing that people mention is that the documentation is great when you know the context and maybe you've done migration process before, but there are no beginner-friendly migration guides, maybe going through a very simple Strappy V3 application and going through the process of the migration of showing all the overall steps that someone has to take from all the things that we have and all the tooling that we have, like for instance, using code mod and how to use that to go through a basic Strappy application and migrate it to V4, because I think it's very important for everyone to have that context to see, what is the process? What is the overall process? And once you know the overall process, the documentation makes way more sense. So that's feedback we have. And I mentioned the API response structure. Why is it the way it is? Why we have all this extra data there? Give more reasons why we changed it. And because the response data, if you haven't seen it, it's so nested, it makes it really, frustrating for developers because they constantly have to dig one level and another level and another level. And so there's no easier way to deal with. So we don't have any SDK at the moment to provide an easier way to deal with the data structure response. And that's something that we want to do. And we want to make sure that we get everything done to have everybody have a nice, smooth transition when going from V3 to V4. And the thing that I want to say about migration, I'm not sure if it's the case for everybody, but I think a lot of people assume that there's going to be like a one-click migration, and that's just not the case. There are tools like CodeMod, and then we have our data migration scripts that make the job easier. But the more customizations you have done to your application, that's something you would still have to do. But the documentation and the resources that we're going to create in upcoming weeks and the next month are really going to help you with making that process much, much smoother and easier. So I'm like really, really excited about. And then another one is the lack of information around transform. And some of you in the documentation, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I kind of created this little example. And the first example on the left is when you're working on regular controllers. So you have this method, transform response, that you're able to transform your response to appropriate response structure that you need. And if you try to find this in the documentation right now, it's nowhere near to be found. And so I think we need to go into our documentation and add more context of what that does, how to use it. And on the right here, this is a similar example, but this is using two-entity response from the GraphQL plugin because it has the same thing. And if you're not aware of this and you try to, let's say, return the data specifically when using GraphQL, and you're wondering why it's not being returned, what's wrong, and it could be because of not either knowing about two-entity response or two-entity collection response or using it correctly because there's not enough documentation. So we heard everybody from the community, and we are going to work on that to make sure that we make everybody's process from going from v3 to v4, and also making sure that we are able to update our documentation accordingly. And while we're talking on documentation here, and I'll share this, I think I had a link here somewhere. I did have a link. I'll share in a second. Just give me a moment. But we are doing a survey to kind of ask about your experience in terms of documentation. And I'll share this link here in the chat with you, or if Daniel is able to do it, pretty awesome. But please help us make our documentation better. I know everybody is already contributing to community, doing your best, but go through the documentation rebranding. Give us your feedback. We want to know, and let us know some of the things that we could improve, because we do our best to make things the best that we can, but sometimes certain things just like we don't think about or we miss, and that's why it's awesome to have the community to help us out and give your feedback. So we'll share that, and thank you for sharing the documentation, the chat survey. Please check it out. It really, really helps us. And so, yeah, so back to the slides. A lot of multitasking here. So now I just want to give you a quick, roadmap for updates for Q3. And we want to make sure that we're more open. Like I said before, one of the issues we had when we went from V3 to V4, we might have not made the best, or at least we weren't transparent enough why or what changes we were making and the reason why we were making those changes. So we want to be more transparent, and during these calls, make sure to give you roadmap updates so everyone is aware of what's happening, what's going on, where we are going. And that just like makes it easier for everybody, because when we make changes, they're not a surprise, and they're anticipated changes because everybody knows what's coming. So from the content squad, we are working on media folders. They're currently in beta, will be released soon. We are working on relations in the main layout, and we are going to start working on DNP version 2. For expansion squad, we are going to be working on marketplace enhancements and custom fields beta, which I know it's a highly anticipated feature, so we're looking forward to it. And in the DX squad, we're going to be looking at API tokens for V4, data import export, and more V4 Docker image documentation, which is awesome. And again, we want to give you these updates so everybody now is aware. Everybody's aware if what is happening, so you're more open and able to see what we're doing, so which is pretty awesome. And let me check the chat here. Pretty awesome. And again, awesome to have everybody here. Really appreciate everybody joining the stream. We have 38 people on. This is fantastic. And this is the best part about the community, is that we all come together to continue to grow together. And if you're not on Discord, if you haven't joined the community yet, go ahead and join the community. If someone can throw a link on for our Discord, really great place. And a lot of times people think like everybody knows everything. There's things that I don't even know, and I use Discord all the time to ask questions in terms of learning new things. So it's an amazing community. If you've been just starting out with Strappy, and you feel like you might not be able to give questions or feedback, but if you have your own questions, just join. Go ahead. It's so much fun. And so let's move on here. And so now we're going to go to our community showcase, and I'm going to bring Simon on because he created an amazing community plugin. It's called Dockerize. And what it does, and let me just say this, I haven't, to be honest, I'll bring Simon just in a second, I haven't really tried to deploy Strappy to Docker because I felt like, that's an extra thing for me to learn. There's all these steps I have to do. And it was like amazing, because of Simon, he created this amazing plugin that actually makes it way easier. So let's bring him in into the chat and give me just a moment here as I navigate here. And hey, Simon.
Hey.
Hey, how are you? We could hear you really well. So what I want to do first, thank you, by the way, for being here. And I gotta say, this plugin is amazing. I think now I have no excuses not to try to deploy Strappy to Docker. And before we start, what I want to do is have you to introduce yourself. Tell us how you got started with the community, how long you've been a member, because you've done so much, and we definitely want to make sure that everybody knows about you.
Yeah. Well, I work for Luna, which is a see, I freeze up all the time there. Yeah, no, I work as a software engineer for Luna, which is a cryptocurrency exchange on my daily basis. And I literally sit in the Strappy Discord channel and help everybody out as much as I can during the off times. I've been using Strappy since alpha. I was doing some pull requests and whatnot during the Docker times over there. I've always been a person that loves Strappy, and I've been loving Docker and kind of automate everything. I did write the blog that was used for the YouTube video, which currently had like 25,000 people viewing it. So I figured there must be somebody that had some interest for it. So yeah, I figure out that, a lot of people sit and want to use Docker and never use Docker and don't know how it works. And that's what Docker normally solves. It takes a lot of the pain of deployment and everything wrong. And then if you're new to it, it makes it even harder. So that's why I kind of like wrote the blog and the video was made. So I thought they can make a video about it. Why not just automate it? So yeah, I made a plugin, tool, script, whatever people want to say. Show my screen and showcase in a second. But yeah, no, so all it does is adds the Docker Compose file if you need it, the Docker file from the guide and everything else, and you're good to go. It still needs some work around it where people kind of like, if you're not ever used Docker, you kind of get the file you need to follow along with the YouTube video that Strappy made for how you kind of deploy them and do them, but it takes to make a lot of the hard work out.
Yeah, when I tried it, it was really straightforward. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having you demo it.
Yeah. I'll share my screen. Let's see if he wants to do this. Let's give this a go. Right.
1 second here. Let me add you. Okay, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So this is a brand spanking new 4-point version. It works on 4. Theoretically, you can use it on 3, and then you can just modify the file. So if I open an editor, as you can see, it's just the brand project. I haven't even opened it. Which by default comes with a, let's see if we find it. This one is the old one that I've been playing around with. This will then have the SQL part for SQLite and whatnot. So all you do is you open a terminal. Hopefully people can see it. And for those that like Pokemon, yes, that's my terminal with dad jokes. You literally run npx Strappy community dockerize, hit enter, and it will ask you a really simple question. Do you want a Docker Compose file? A lot of people just want to have it Dockerized and deployed and don't want to use Docker Compose for local development stuff. So if you say no, it adds a Docker ignore and a Docker, and that's it, and a Docker file. For this demo, let's say, as you saw, I had MySQL in mind, and I can say yes, and we can say Postgres as an example. It will ask you technically the same thing. It just defaults to Strappy, so you can fill out your database information. It knows the ports, and it installs the dependencies because we want to have Postgres. And 15 seconds whenever my Mac wants to do it, it is done. And you can already see that it added the Docker ignore, the Docker Compose, and the Docker file, and it's still using Yarn to install it. It also auto detects if you're using Yarn or npm.
Oh wow!
So depending
nice.
on what you do, it will do what it's doing. So we can just let this run by itself while we're looking at it, and it is the same file that I used in my tutorial, literally. So you can go and change this, and there you go. Now it's done. So if you like it, by all means, have a look. Add some feature requests to it, whatnot. We can always expand and have play with it. It will also then make a backup file in case you were using SQLite. So this is the old file. And now it changed it and made it Postgres. So now it's a Postgres file. It adds the package JSON. It adds the SQL. This is apparently a bug from what I'm doing. And then it literally just adds everything so you're ready to go. It also updates your env file and adds the variables you requested. So now I can, if I wanted to, Docker compose up D to build my image. I don't have Docker running, but yes,
Yeah.
it's as simple as that to literally get running with it. There's no more to it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think it definitely makes it so much easier for everybody to do that. And before you have to manually do that. So that's amazing. Saves so much time. And it's
Yep.
only one command. So pretty awesome. So we'll share the link to that in the chat. So everybody should definitely check it out, especially if you're looking to deploy Strapi on Docker. Most of the work is done. And let's see here. Let me just check the comments, see if there's any questions around the plugin. If you have questions for Simon, let me know. Let us know in the chat. Let's see here. Okay.
While you're doing it, the only cool thing with the tool is you can run it over and over again to switch databases. So if you want to test MySQL, you run for MySQL. And you go, oh no, I want Postgres. You can run it with Postgres. A sneak preview. I haven't finished it yet. I'm working on one more other tool which will help with the automatic deployment to Heroku. It will do most of that work for you.
Nice.
It kind of builds on it.
That's really awesome. Yeah, definitely keep us posted. We definitely share it because one of the biggest issues right now, it's not an issue, but everybody's different. Like I said, someone could be using a Strapi app who's more of a front-end developer, and a deployment to like Heroku or other places tends to be sometimes a pain point. And so if there's an easier process of doing that, definitely awesome to have. And I think this is like one of the reasons Strapi is working on their cloud version, because for a lot of people who want to just have that one-click deploy and make it easier, is definitely a thing that will help with that. Now, let me ask you a question about the community org, because you are a member. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so we were founded a couple of months ago with it. We've been running for the @Strapi community. So we're kind of like the main community maintainers of separate plugins. Sasha, can't even remember the name of everybody in it. We are about 7 leaders into it. So we take on plugins from Strapi, or anybody's more than welcome to come join us. It is literally Strapi for Strapi. Hence, like I did now, I made a plugin, so instead of put it for me as a developer and put it out, the community can now take care of it and help with deploying it. We can get it out there, exposure, but you can also get things like maintenance for it. So it kind of it's where we picked up a lot of the I'm not gonna say the most active developers that we have, but quite a lot of us that are quite active in the Trap community, and form like an organization to help with them. So it's been quite fun in the way we're doing it. We have had some meetings and whatnot. We're trying to kind of like shuffle around how we're going to structure the org and stuff. It's still a little bit up to what we're doing, so we can come back to more information once we have that. But it's literally a way of a little Jedi council of the community to help other developers and whatnot. So we already have a Discord channel, which I think is in CO General, which you can come and, if you have a plugin and you kind of want to put it into the Strapi part and have other people help out with it and whatnot, it's a great place to start. Also, quite helpful. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And again, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that amazing demo. I'm very excited. I think like a lot of people were saying in the chat, they were looking for that feature, which makes, Dockerizing something easier. And some even mentioned, man, they can't wait for the Heroku tool that you're working on. So definitely keep us posted. Let us know. And
yeah, you will see it soon as I get it done. It's a little bit into more work into it, but it's gonna be fun once it comes out. It's one of those pain points where Strapi is taking away all the pain points of people being front end and take it out in the back end. The only tool mine done is just taking out after deployment, and then you will have a lot of people that will come and ask when Strapi is making their own Docker images, and the answer is now you can just make your own. Like one command, you can just make up your own. So now you don't even need it. You can just make up your own.
Yeah,
which was kind of like the point.
So there's some questions. Daniel asked, can I join the community org? Like, who could become members?
So yeah, everybody's open to join in. If you pop into the channel and talk a little bit with yourself, we normally have like a council that kind of goes over with all the members and whatnot, but everybody's like free to come in and join in with it. Mostly, you will see people that have already um, made plugins, or if you're new to making plugins and things like that, then it's a great place to join in. And everybody's welcome to join in. It is like, as I said, from the Strappy community for the Strappy community.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and let us know if you have any other additional questions for Simon while we have him here, before we move on to our next showcase that I wanted to show for you. But let me ask you, Simon, what has been your experience being part of the community, and what is your favorite part about the community?
I have had a lot of questions with that, and I kind of find out from all my years with the Strappy community now, it is an amazing community with developers that wants the best for it. If something is hard or somebody is struggling with it, there's always somebody to help you, and most people will get a lot. And if you go to other brands that does the same thing, they don't really have that developer experience from the community side of things. We even now have our own organization with developers that are not part of actual Strappy that helps out with the same thing. And it's, for me, it's been amazing to talk with people and see people grow, where you come in with people and you're like, I don't like Strappy. I can't work with Strappy. That doesn't work. And the only pain point they had was, I don't know, they had to Dockerize it, or they didn't understand how it was, a little bit of documentation. They come back 2-3 days later, and then suddenly now they've been there for like 6 months and love it. So it's being a developer, it's its own little community to use it, and it's quite nice and fun.
So Daniel had a question. What are some of the plugins the org has right now?
Right, so I'm going to go cheat now because I can't remember it on the top of my head. So I'm going to go cheat because, anybody else can Google it. So the ones that I know is the Dockerize that I have. We're hosting the awesome Strappy. There was a new one that came out, which is the plugin alias. The ones which had to do with like Google Cloud Storage has been taken over. The Jekyll one, we already have like an ESLint config. We also have I think it actually has the Strappy bot for Discord that's been worked on and stuff. So it's quite a lot. And there's also, for instance, the Reddit cache and the REST cache, the local image sharpen, those ones. Yeah, as Derek said, now the REST cache and Reddit cache is there as well, which is really amazing tools that he's been working on some of them, and then we're taking it over as a community to help everybody out. So
yeah. And then we had another question from Luke. He asked, what are the benefits of using Docker in Heroku versus deploying to Heroku the normal way?
Yeah, so that's been one of those potato what you like, because Heroku itself, when it deploys, makes a Docker container. So theoretically, it is like giving it a pre-made image you already have instead of build it on the fly. That's literally the biggest. And then theoretically, you have more control over it because, and it's a little bit less setup, because with a Docker file, you give it a Docker file and it just knows it's a Docker file and it will deal with it. While if you just have Heroku, you will need the build packs and you will need all the information for Heroku to actually run it. So, but technically, it both are Docker images that is running when it's dealing with it.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So let's see, any more questions? So don't see any additional questions to you, Simon. So thank you again for joining us. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for being such an awesome member of the community. And again, definitely check out the site that we share. Anybody could be a member. Definitely go ahead and check it out. But Simon, thanks for joining. So I'm going to send you backstage for now. So see you. All right. And so we're going to continue because I do want to make another showcase for you. I think this is an amazing plugin by Localization. Let me share my screen one more time here. All right. So this is a plugin that makes multilingual management and translation like literally super easy. And I reached out for the team. It was my fault because I did it really, really late, but I wanted to invite them to talk about this. And unfortunately, because I asked the last minute, they weren't able to make it. But I do want to eventually do another stream with them as well. I think it'll be awesome. But for now, I'm going to talk about, give you a quick demonstration. So where you could find it by going to our marketplace, and the install process is super easy. You do have to have a Localization account, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But the setup, literally all you would do is you just copy and paste this command, and you would run it, and it will be it. And to kind of save us the time from watching me install the plugin, because the steps are super easy, and they also have great blog article that I'll share with you in the chat here. So if anyone's interested, you could follow it and check it out. But I'll do a quick demo here as well. And so what it does is basically is a website that makes translating your content to a different language fairly simple and straightforward. And so if you want to have a multilingual site because you have users, let's say, in US and Paris, you want to be able to do that easily. And so let me kind of show you. Once you install the plugin, which I already have, you go to your local lazy plugin here, and you would log in. Now, I did mention you need to have an account. So what you would do is you would go to localization.com and you would set up an account. But once you have the credentials, you'll be able to click this login button. It will take you to their authentication. So I already set up a Strappy project. I will click authorize, and now I should be logged in into account. And once you're all set, I did some test content types, but I'll do another one. So I'm going to create, go to Content Builder, create a new collections. Let's call it task. And then the most important thing you have to do, this is something that I didn't do initially. I made a mistake. Make sure that you enable localization for this content type. If you don't, right, like I'm not going to do it at the moment. I'll show you the issue and I'll show you the fix. But let's kind of do this. We'll have a task name and add another field. It's going to, oh, not rich text, back up here. Back up. Let's add text, long text. Let's have description and finish. And I'm going to save. And now when you go to settings, under localized settings, content transfer setup, notice that you only see my first content type, but you don't see the task that we just created. So if that happens to you, or this is blank, the main issue 99% of the time is that we need to enable that in advanced settings. So if we go back to tasks, edit, go to advanced settings, and make sure you enable localization for this content type. Click finish. So before we do that, let's go ahead and create a task. Create a new entry. Eat lunch. It's lunchtime where I am, or maybe I just like eat lunch. Eat something tasty. Whatever it is, I'm going to save and publish. So now I'm going to go to my Localization overview. Actually, I lied. I go to settings first, and then I go to content transfer. And so it automatically already added it. If it was off, it wouldn't translate those things. So let's go tasks. Let's give save. And so now we go into our Localization plugin, and we click translate in Localization. It's going to open up the screen, and it will show you this screen, which will show you all the different things that we're translating. So currently, we were translating our previous data. Let me go back, upload the new data that we added. Go back to translate in Localization. And let's see here. So the curse of the demo, I initially did that translation here. So let me just use this as an example. And so what I was able to do is I was able to go and translate it from English to French. And I'll show you in the app what it does. And this is why I should have scheduled this way ahead of time with the people from Localization to show us this amazing demo, because it is truly awesome, because it allows you to translate things like so much easier, which is fantastic. And so let me go to Strapi just to kind of show you the fruits of your labor, so you guys could see. So I want to make sure that we have our content that is able to be translated to multiple languages. So obviously you could see this in English right now, but if you actually take a closer look, and I'm too zoomed in here, let me close this. That didn't make a big difference, but here you have our locales. So notice my content, it's in English, and if I select French, now we have this translation that I was able to do with Localization, which is awesome because this is something simple. And when you explore the app, you will see that they have where you could do something just using like a machine that automatically translates for you. They also have services where they allow humans to go ahead and translate stuff for you. So that is pretty awesome. But I wanted to showcase, and I'll definitely, my demo definitely doesn't show the full power of what Localization could do, but I'm definitely going to have them back at some point to make sure that they give us proper demo, not only of the Strapi plugin, but also how Localization's service could help you and when you should use it. So I wanted to share that. So back to my slides here. So I was going to do some Q&As. So if anybody has questions about anything, I'm not saying I might have all the answers, but I know we have some of our amazing teammates like Derek and Daniel and some others in the chat that might have the answer for you. But let me know if you have any questions. And while I wait in the chat to see what questions we have, I just want to say it's so awesome to have everybody join this live call. And I want to say it's the best part about Strapi is the community that we have here around and everything that we do here. I've met so many awesome people. And if you're new with Strapi, if you're just starting out or you've been doing Strapi, join our Discord community, join the community.org, and just be participate. Don't be shy. Like when I first started using Strapi, I wasn't sure like what can I offer to help, especially when I was brand new. And believe me, there's always some question that you might have the answer to that you could help others out. So join our community, join Discord. We have also, I just want to say, if you, everybody probably knows we have strapi.io website. We have amazing blogs. We're actually very active in posting blogs. So if you want to learn how to use Strapi, if you want to learn on building, let's say, how Next.js works for Strapi or other things, you could check them out on our website. But let's see. So not many questions. So that's okay. But I just want to say that we are going to have another stream, and this is actually pretty important. If you have been trying to migrate your project, or you kind of not sure of what the overall process of migrating from Strapi version 3 to Strapi 4 was, or what's the process, if you're confused about anything, we are going to do a Strapi v3 to v4 migration overview. I'm going to throw the link because depending where you are in the chat, so I'll throw the link in the chat, but depending where you are in the world, the times are going to be different for you. So instead of me just giving you the time that's going to be for me, check out the link, register for the live stream, and it's going to be awesome. And like I said, we did an amazing Discord Q&A. We'll do a little bit on this stream as well to hear about everybody's process that you've been going through migration. We heard you. We are in the works to create additional resources that are going to make that process easier and more enjoyable. And like I said, we did share the link to our documentation survey. Let's see if I still have it open here. I'll get it again before we go in just a moment. I'll share the link. Maybe we could share it in the chat also again. But I want to bring it up to show you what it is. We do have our documentation survey. So go ahead, please go through the survey. Let us know what your experience has been with our documentation. Getting feedback from the community is super important to us, because it helps us to make things better and improve on what we're doing. So definitely don't be shy. Give us feedback. And again, you could do it through also, we have our forum, we have our Discord. Love to have all of you there. We do listen to our community, and we want to make sure that we're all growing and building things together. And so before we end, I'll just want to bring Simon back on, because he was did an amazing demo. He's been a long part member of the Strappy community from the alpha days. And I just want to say, man, thank you so much for joining us. And do you have any last parting words of wisdom for anybody that's listening?
I think that one of the things that I learned with it is play to learn. Always play with it, and start off with just build any type of API for your website, for anything, and then start to dig more and more and more and more, and that's how you learn. And when your first problem is, go visit the Discord or go visit the forums, and it's more likely that somebody will either answer it or will help you, and then you will be part of it. So it's how I done it for three years or so now, and I still love it. Still an everyday check-in.
And let me ask you a question: how long have you been a developer or a programmer?
11 years, 2011, more or less.
Wow.
I started back in 90s, but like professionally, I ran my own company and stuff from 2011.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. One thing that I want to say is everybody at Strappy community has different levels of experience. And I started with Strappy, when I was first learning to code, and it's now been like 4 years. And it's really helped me by, learning from, like, the coolest thing about Strappy that I was mentioning to you before is that it gives you an API right out of the box, but it has so many ways to customize it that even though you could be a front-end developer, you could over time really learn how to customize Strappy. And for me, it was an excellent learning tool, believe it or not, of kind of going and transitioning into full stack development. And for those of you who are starting out, I just want to, before we go, quickly share my story that I like to tell, because a lot of people don't think about it. I remember my first job, my second job, actually, I got hired as a front-end React developer. And what's interesting with that company is that they had their main core product built with Python. And they had all their backend engineers were Python developers. And the company wanted to try a new project, but they didn't have the bandwidth of taking the Python engineers off the project. So I said to them, look, like, there's this awesome thing called Strappy. You could easily use it for what you're looking for. So let me build a quick proof of concept. And that eventually, they liked it, and it became a minimal viable product. And then we actually built and deployed a service powered by Strappy. And the most amazing thing, I was able to do this while still being more of a front-end engineer, and Strappy helped me to do all the heavy lifting in terms of backend. And over time, we added more custom code, we added GraphQL, we custom resolvers, so the project grew. But what was awesome is that as someone who was just starting out, I was able to start something that actually became an actual product and grow with it. And so I want to share that with anybody who's wondering, like, should you try Strappy? Try Strappy, definitely, for sure. And so, Simon, thank you so much. Where could people find you if they want to hear more from you or follow your content?
Yeah, so I got my own blog. I presume they can share it. Twitter,
yes, nice.
LinkedIn. You'll find me as my avatar on Discord as well, or on the forums. So where the community is, I am. But I got my own blog. I got my Twitter as well, which is mostly where people will find me. So,
nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure. It was nice to meet you in person. And thank for everybody also who joined the live call. Really I appreciate all of you, and we look forward for more of these awesome community calls, which we're going to do on a regular basis. And if for some reason you miss one, don't worry, there's going to be another, and you could always watch the replays on our YouTube channel or Twitch. But with that being said, everybody have a great day, good morning or good evening, wherever you are in the world, and we'll chat soon. Bye.